Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, great. Hey, my name is Al, and my presentation is on web polls. So let's start off with a little poll of our own. Let's do a little poll on ice cream flavors. Yeah, so show of hands, how many of you have chocolate as your favorite ice cream flavor? Hands up right now. Okay, I'm counting about 2. And so hands up now for vanilla. How many people like vanilla as their favorite flavor? Okay, that's about 700. And so like any good pollster guy, I will tally the results. And we find that the favorite flavor of Noisebridge for ice cream is Pat Buchanan with 72 votes. Yeah, butterfly ballot joke. That never gets old. So a lot of you might be confused as to what just went on there, but really these sort of wildly inaccurate results are really commonplace with web polls, and so there's lots of malicious reasons and lots of really incompetent reasons why web polls are absolutely horrible for gathering data. So I'm going to go into the malicious reasons first. So if you have an opinion that seems to have a lot of popularity behind it, that sort of tends to give it credibility. There's a sort of bandwagon effect. And people can use that as sort of leverage against people who don't share that opinion. So it makes that opinion a sort of viable candidate amongst opinions, and that represents the bandwagon effect. So even if we accept that web polls are wildly inaccurate, we still want them to be wildly accurate in a way that's favorable to our own views. So, exactly. So, the motivation to juke the stacks is there. There's, just by the act of filling out a web poll means you want people to know what your opinion is. So, there's a lot of ways we can stop that. Just with technology, we could set cookies so that your browser has a cookie set on it after you vote, so you can't vote over and over and over again. And that's actually a terrible way to go about it, because the person whose browser you're trusting to tell the truth is actually the person who has the complete incentive to actually lie about that. So cookies don't really work. You can try logging IP addresses. That doesn't work either. You can either have one person who's in control of a huge botnet that's thousands of computers that they can control to then crash the polls, or you can have just left-wing or right-wing websites that have a lot of traffic that cajole their users to go and crash the polls. And then, of course, once the admin finds that, they'll just try to change it to, make it look correcter. And so it's really not who casts the votes so much as who counts them. So this is a really big problem, and it's not just for small websites either. The most best example of this is Time Magazine had their marble cake hack. So they had a web poll for most influential person of 2009, and the winner with 16 million votes was Moot, which is kind of surprising because nobody's ever heard of him before. But Moot is the founder of the website 4chan, which you've all heard of, and if you haven't, you're very fortunate. But what's really surprising is not only did they make Moot #1 in the polls, but they also arranged all the other winners so that they spelled out Marble Cake, also the game. Marble Cake is a 4chan IRC channel, and the game is that meme game where if you remember you're playing, you're losing. By the way, you're all losing right now. And this is what they had to say. I would remind anyone who doubts the results that this is an internet poll. Doubting the results is kind of the point, which really kind of says that there is no point, because you're just expected that you're completely naive if you think that there's any credibility at all. That's a horrible way to conduct a poll, but the polls themselves have a lot of bad reasons why they're not very scientific. For one, that's not representational. It's not a representational sample of any population except for, the population of people who filled it out. So you can't really extrapolate that information to the larger population. And really the only reason that web polls are any good whatsoever is because they're really cheap, and also, that's pretty much it actually. They're really cheap, which is why they're so prolific. This is why a lot of people, it's a case where you really get what you pay for, actually less. So lots of other websites have this. Any website that has online voting or reputation or user input has these problems. But the big difference is that these websites have a lot of mechanisms in place that can actually prevent this, unlike publicly accessible web polls. So the great thing about Wikipedia, besides the fact that they have a 22-page article on Optimus Prime, is that a lot of people have put in a lot of effort into making sure that the data is still reliable. You can read all about its reliability on Wikipedia itself. And I only have 5 seconds left, so let me just go through these slides. So traditional print media is dying. It's going to be replaced by online electronic polls. And online polls really have no place at all in this paradigm. So, everybody knows that online polls are inaccurate, but I want to really make it a step more than that. I want it to be absolutely embarrassing to even have web polls on your website. I want them to have that same sort of status as those animated GIFs that we all had in the mid-90s.
I like that.
But yeah, so my base point is that if we continue to just accept that we have these sources of information that are wildly inaccurate, that we can't even pretend are credible at all, then, 72 trillion people can't be wrong. Thank you very much.